Good evening, Internet. Welcome back to another night of strange and scary games. Tonight we've got the Innsmouth case. This is a choose-your-own-adventure Lovecraftian mystery game, according to the Steam story page. I've never played it. I've never seen anything about it. So let's jump into it. Loading. We are fans of the strange world of Innsmouth, but we recognize the problematic beliefs of H.P. Lovecraft. This game has been produced by a group of people who believe in inclusion and equality. RobotPumpkin Games and Assemble Entertainment. Your progress in the story will be saved at the end of each chapter. There are 35 chapters in total. At the end of the chapter, the screen fades to black and the green save icon appears at the bottom right of the screen. We recommend you always end the game after such a save point to make sure none of your progress is lost. If you play a chapter a second time, press escape to skip text and go to the next decision. Boston, 21st of September. The last rays of sunshine filter through the blinds in your empty office. The pathetic stench of whiskey, cold cigarette smoke, and canned ravioli fills the air. The screeching tires and constant beeping of the car horns out there on the street tell you that it's gone 8 p.m. People are on their way home, finishing their day. You should join them. You decide... This is a really early decision. To go home. You breathe a deep sigh. It may not have been a successful day, but at least it's over. You are looking forward to a classic Friday night, watching old mystery series at home in sweatpants and getting drunk on cheap booze. Since the early afternoon, you have been staring at the foreboding bottle of liquor at the other end of the room. Up until now, a vague sense of professionalism has kept you from drinking yourself into oblivion. Now, nothing stands in the way. Suddenly, you hear someone at the door. The door slowly cracks open with a timid creak. The unknown guest pauses, then, in a breathy and melodic tone, you hear a woman utter, "Hello?" Your insides cramp. You suddenly realize that you haven't cleaned your office at all this year. You invite her in. By the light of the desk lamp, you now see more than a silhouette. A breathtaking woman lights up your office. No doubt older than 40, maybe even 50, hard to say. Clad in black, a skin-tight dress, culminating in a décolleté that seems to defy the laws of gravity. A smoky eyeshadow, as dark as algae washed ashore. Blonde, coiffed, wavy hair under a dark beret. The faint light of the setting sun catches on the strands of her hair, and you wonder how many heads this woman must have turned during her prime. She's completely different from your usual customers, nervous bankers with sweat stains under their armpits, convinced their wives have something going on with the mailman. Every move she makes is calculated grace. Smooth as an eel, she walks towards you and sits down on the corner of your desk. Determined, she walks towards you and sits down on the corner of your desk, which makes you blush. Never before has a visitor parked their derriere so skillfully on the corner of this desk. You hope that the cigarette butt the stranger has just sat on won't leave any difficult stains. The dress looks expensive. When she starts talking, her voice is smoky and full of promise. "My name is Dahlia Marsh. I'm looking for a private investigator. I was told you are one of the best." She extends her hand. "Come to the right place, lady. What can I do for you?" You sit back in your chair and fold your hands over your stomach. The woman seems a little irritated that her provocative behavior seems to have had no effect on you. She moves from the edge of the desk and sits down on the chair opposite you. Yes, She clears her throat. As she continues to speak, the smoky seductiveness creeps back into her voice. "My name is Dahlia. I need help. It's about my daughter, Tabitha. She has disappeared. You're pulling out paper and pencil. This is going to be a walk in the park. Walk in the kidnapped kids park. Well, when did you last see her, and where?" The woman puts on a fake smile. "We live in Innsmouth. It's a small port town north of Arkham." You frown. "This is a bit vague. What was your child doing when you last saw her? What hobbies does she have?" "Oh, you know, kid stuff. They just run around and play with their yo-yos, that sort of thing." Dahlia nervously combs her hands through her hair. "Does your daughter have any friends?" "Does your daughter have any friends she might be staying with? Classmates, sports club members, anything like that?" Dahlia silently shakes her head. Very strange. You're about to ask if the girl at least had imaginary friends, but you hold back. Hold on, yo-yos? Ring ring, can you hear that? It's the 90s calling, and they want their outdated toys back. Dahlia blushes. Normally you would find this quite attractive, but the case of a missing girl beckons, and you're utterly unconvinced by the way this woman pretends to be a mother. She remains silent. Something's fishy here. You have a nose for this sort of thing. That's why you became a private investigator. Or, to be more precise, that's why you took an online detective course that, for a one-off fee, provided the necessary qualification. It's time to take your visitor to task. Has your daughter really disappeared? You simply can't help questioning her further. Her story simply doesn't wash, although it's exactly what your instructor warned you about. You're sticking to your principles. Dahlia's mouth becomes even more pinched, something you didn't think possible. I resent this insolence. Of course she's disappeared. What do you take me for? You stare at one another. The only sound in the room is the roar of the rush hour traffic creeping in through the window. Dahlia's face remains motionless, icy, and you have neither evidence nor arguments to back up your suspicions. She still seems angry, but she also seems desperate and dependent on your services. What about her father? What about Tabitha's father? Are you separated? Often children reappear with family members. Dahlia smiles sadly. My little one can't swim well enough for that yet. Your pen remains on the same spot on the notepad. What was that supposed to mean? Dahlia turns her gaze away from you and looks longingly out the window. Her father was a fisherman, like most in the village. A few years ago, he went out to sea but never returned. His boat was washed ashore weeks later. His colleagues told me that he had finally followed the call of the waves. Keep quiet for a moment. Deceased family members are always a sensitive subject. My sincere condolences. She seems calm. Oh, somehow I always knew that moment would come. I think my husband is in a better place now, and at some point I'll join him. You take a closer look at Dahlia's outfit. Judging by her behavior and clothes, you never would have taken her to be a fisherman's wife. You inquire about... She's only 8, and the sweetest girl you can imagine. She's been missing without a trace since last week. None of her schoolmates have seen her, and no one knows where she might have gone. She hands you a photo. Look, this is my little munchkin. Good heavens, is this supposed to be a joke? Is that really the face of a child or a shoddy photo edit? Are you being filmed as part of a reality TV show? A bit of stomach acid and the last bite of lunch slowly but surely make their way up into the back of your mouth. With narrow eyes, you swallow the bile and involuntarily pull a face. Dahlia continues to look at you hopefully. She obviously didn't notice your little mishap. That was close and could have been unpleasant. I'm so desperate. Her eyes lock with yours. I have no further questions, you mumble, more to yourself than to her. Dahlia stretches her neck imperceptibly. No doubt she would like to take a look at your notebook. Your pen hovers over the notes you've been taking. Missing daughter, dodgy lady. That's it. You've worked with less. Are you going to take the case or not? You nod. A missing persons case, nothing unusual. The conventional little girl runs away from home after reading her first romance novel. Usually they hide at the edge of the forest or in the library. Should be pretty straightforward. Before you can say anything, she drops a photo of the child and a roll of bills on your desk. For your expenses. You nod slowly, trying not to drool down the front of your shirt. You haven't seen this much money in ages. You don't have much time to prepare. A quick search reveals that only one bus goes to Innsmouth, and only once a day. A pattern emerges in your research. A few news items related to this little coastal town are all about missing persons. In addition, you find some rather old-fashioned articles that praise the coastal town as a secret holiday destination. The best fish, untouched beach promenade, authentic fishing people are the recurring buzzwords. Dahlia has given you the address at which you're supposed to drop off her daughter as soon as you find her. She also wrote down her phone number on the child's photo. You take another look at the picture before you pack your things. The next morning you travel by bus. Boston, 22nd September. Your journey begins at a busy bus station. There is supposed to be a bus line that departs from here to Innsmouth. Buses, you think to yourself, are not only an environmentally friendly means of transportation, they're also easy on your wallet. Sadly, the departure buses aren't of much help. New York, Maine, Rhode Island, no trace of Innsmouth as your destination. You wander around for a while. Didn't mean to click that. Talk to the cleaner or continue searching on your own. Excuse me, where can I find the bus to Innsmouth? Without letting go of his sandwich, the cleaner points to an abandoned counter in the dingiest corner that the public bus station could be capable of. The man gives you a nod, indicating that anything that can be said has indeed been said. You find that the counter is elaborately decorated with cobwebs. It's a bit early for Halloween preparations, but at least someone's made an effort. At the moment, nobody seems to be there. You press your face against the plastic window to peer into the room behind. Hello? Hello, is anyone there? I have to go to Innsmouth. No one there. Suddenly, out of nowhere, a bus ticket appears on the counter. Might the trip be free? Leave a donation. You're a staunch defender of the law. It goes without saying that you pay. You put a few coins in the bowl underneath the foggy glass window. Hopefully they won't be stolen by the next passenger. Even if someone were sitting behind the counter, you wouldn't be able to see him. It's just too dark. You are distracted for a few seconds, and suddenly there's some change on the counter. What's that amongst the coins? A small golden fishing hook? How strange. Where's this bus hiding? In between the polished greyhounds and travelers stowing their luggage, saying goodbye, and dropping tiredly into their seats, there's a kind of dumpster. A dumpster with windows and wheels? No. It's actually a bus. It's a bit on the rusty side, and even from a distance you sense the strange smell it emits. Is that sulfur? You're not convinced by how this thing is supposed to drive. In its vicinity, everything is noticeably quieter than at the other bus stops. The people getting on show no sign of emotion. Nobody is trying to jump the queue here. Instead, the passengers move past the bus driver at a uniform speed, one after the other, shuffling up the creaking steps. Each two-seater bench is occupied by individuals, as if they want to make sure not to come into contact with their fellow passengers. The sign clearly says Innsmouth. No departure times, no stopovers, just Innsmouth. On the bus. Undecided, you're standing on the stairs of the bus. You hand the driver the ticket. No reaction. At least you can't make out a reaction. The lighting is poor, and the shadow of his dusty driver's cap covers almost his entire face. You notice something strange on his neck, but you can't quite make out what it might be. You're standing in the door waiting for an okay. Excuse me. You're standing in the door waiting for an okay, a nod, anything. The sulfur odor has increased, a queue has formed behind you, but no one is pushing or complaining. People wait quietly and patiently. You shuffle sideways through the center aisle. You don't remember the bus looking this long from the outside. You are surrounded by shabby two-seater benches, and some are already occupied. One traveler per row. The last bench is free. Looks like the upholstery's torn in some places, though, or has it been slit open? You can see springs with sharp wire edges, and some sticky liquid seems to have leaked into the floor. Why didn't you just sit down in one of the free rows? Here in the back, almost everything is occupied. Most of the passengers seem to have purposely sat down in the aisle seats, blocking off the window seats. Maybe this is an opportunity to get a little closer to the common Innsmouth visitor. To the rear bench. You've always been the cool outsider, at least that's what you like to tell yourself, so you take the back row, which you have all for yourself. The ride won't take that long, will it? You wish you had paid a little more attention to the map. The smell of sulfur rises into your nose again. You try to sit down carefully without tearing your clothes on the wire springs of the seat cushion. Suddenly a jolt. You can't balance. You are pressed into your seat by the most mysterious of all invisible forces, gravity. The bus starts without any warning. Because of the abrupt start, a bunch of yellowed paper has rolled across the dirty floor right in front of your feet. You pick it up. Look at that. A newspaper. Innsmouth Illustrated, from April last year. How useful. According to a faded sticker, the subscriber of the newspaper was a certain C.G. Young. The Innsmouth Illustrated actually offers a lot of entertaining articles. All of these features and listicles give the impression that at the end of this trip, you'll find yourself in an adorable, up-and-coming tourist metropolis. A real insider tip. Well, well. You decide to read every damn article in this paper. Preparation is everything, as you know, and apart from that, you're bored to death. You find out that Innsmouth has a boardwalk and that even a beach bar was open last year. Finally, you discover the crossword puzzle, which turns out to be quite difficult. Quite a lot of fish-related terms. See you later what? Yep, you've got that one. But you get stuck on making pastries, but with an H, or toll road. That's too difficult for you at the moment, and you throw the newspaper in the corner. Finally, your eyes close. The rest of the ride, you sleep peacefully. The bus leaves the country road and turns off at a wooden sign that says Innsmouth in red flaky letters. The journey continues rather bumpily along the narrow road littered with numerous potholes. In the distance, some houses are already visible, seagulls circling the roofs of the outermost edge of the city. Slowly, all passengers take their bags out from under the seats and get ready. Curious, you look through the side window. That's odd. The bus passes by huge. What is this? A scrapyard? Parking lot? Why would something like this be here right outside the city? You pass another wooden sign whose half-peeled writing advertises the Innsmouth Park and Ride area. A lot of cars look like they've been sitting here for years. Sand covers some of the bonnets and windscreens. The front door of the bus opens with a squeak and you join the monotonous line of locals stepping out of the bus as if in a daze. Almost walking in step, you all get closer to the exit. As you walk down the steps, you have to protect your eyes from the sunlight. Turns out the windows of the bus were tinted. The other passengers shuffle off. Finally, Innsmouth. You examine your surroundings while you stretch your legs trying to unwind from the stressful journey. No artist could have adequately captured the serenity and beauty of this place. A clear blue sky lights up the town square, which is paved with bright limestone and surrounded by neo-colonial buildings reminiscent of 19th century New England. A fresh sea breeze, crying seagulls, and locals going about their business. In the center of the square, water trickles from a fountain. As you stretch your limbs and breathe in the clean air, you're suddenly startled by the water feature right in front of you. The fountain is an enormous fish-like brass creature. An open jaw lined with shark-like fangs sprouts brackish water down its massive, inhumanly contorted body. As if that wasn't enough, there appear to be human bodies squirming underneath its massive claws. Their faces are as contorted as yours right now. How long have you been standing here? Eyes wide open in shock, you feel utterly paralyzed. You start to scan the town square and notice more and more disturbing details. On every corner, you spot ornamental statues and reliefs of fish. But these are not your classic harmless kind of fish. These are pagan symbols and grimaces of supernatural creatures from the darkest crevasses of the deep sea. In the surrounding houses, you can see faces pressed against the windows. All the locals appear to be watching you. You suddenly start to think that the cries of the seagulls sound particularly human-like. They sound like humans crying out in pain. What happened to the idyllic scene from a few moments ago? Welcome to Innsmouth. Welcome to Innsmouth. How nice of you to visit. A small, elderly woman waves at you from afar. She beams at you as if you were her long-lost grandchild. She seems very different to the boys you've met so far in the bus into town. Her squealing shakes you out of your nightmarish panic. It's so good to have you here. I've noticed you're very taken by our local fountain. It was built in 1704 by Abdul Necrotis, favorite artist and friend of Charles Dexter Tillinghast, the founder of Innsmouth. The central figure was a present, and it was supposed to commemorate their travels together to Cairo. You can clearly see the Egyptian influences in Necrotis' work, here and here. She points wildly in every direction. And here, but I'm sure you've already noticed this yourself. You look like someone who knows his way around art, she says, with a wide smile. You're still in shock. She beams at you. I don't like either of these choices. Of course, I'm an art historian. She enthusiastically starts clapping and squealing, a small, plump person in a garish costume who finishes off all her sentences with a delighted chuckle. Oh, I noticed that at once. How rude of me. I haven't even introduced myself. My name is Muriel Pooping Place. Gross. I'm the director of the Parks Commission, chief tourism officer, and head of the welcoming committee. Ta-da! Behind Muriel, there's a ramshackle wooden information stand, lovingly decorated with balloons. A colorful painted sign reads, Welcome to Innsmouth. Muriel tiptoes over to her information stand and picks up a whole load of flyers and leaflets from the rickety display cases. She looks down at all the paper in her arms and briefly shrieks with laughter. My goodness, why don't you take the city map to begin with? Useful. You take the map and put it into your coat pocket. Would you like to find out more about our wonderful town, which has been awarded the East Coast Stunning Town Award for several years in a row? Sure, why not? Muriel claps her hands excitedly and squeals. She begins unfolding one of her maps and points at 3 different locations in the town. The town center here should be the next stop on your trip. There's a lively up-and-coming shopping street in Innsmouth, and since May, our local fountain has even had real running water. Muriel starts waving her index finger at you. I know what you're thinking. This town is being too showy for its own good, but I can assure you we've all kept our feet on the ground, even after the whole thing with the East Coast Stunning Town Awards. Her finger now points to a different area on the map. The old town of Innsmouth is completely preserved. You'd think nothing was ever done to the facades of the old houses. Within 4 miles of here, you won't find any new builds. Your face has unwillingly slipped into an expressionless mask due to the sheer boredom of it all. And then, Muriel points to the coastal line on the map, the amazing beach promenade, a dreamy beach with a bar that serves all the drinks your heart desires. I hope you brought enough stress with you, because at the beach, pure relaxation awaits you. Small woman chortles. Thank her. Thanks ever so much, ma'am. Muriel seems delighted. Nothing gives me more pleasure than ensuring visitors have a great time in our pretty little town. Will you be staying for a few nights? I can only recommend staying as long as you can. There's just so much to see. Trust me, by the end of your stay, you won't want to leave. It's a short trip. Oh, what a shame. Muriel's enthusiasm quickly faded from her eyes and she drops her hands, which are still holding the colorful flyers. I hope you find what you're looking for. Have a great time. Her eyes move past you and settle on a tourist family right behind you. Seemingly at the flick of a switch, she's back to her gleeful demeanor, bouncing over to the family and waving her brochures. You head further into town along the cobbled road in the direction of the coast. Not long ago, the sun was bright in the sky, but already the first wafts of mist are creeping into the streets. The air feels thicker and the sun can no longer penetrate the fog. Time to think about where you want to go. You slow down, you lean your briefcase against a wall and start pacing up and down the quiet alleyway. You've got an important choice to make right now. The city center is in the north. Even from afar, you can see the outlines of the old and ornately decorated buildings in the main town square. Here, you should find the police station, the main shopping street, and of course, the town hall. As a coastal town, Innsmouth also has a harbor. From your research, you found out that this is a bustling area with a dreamy beach. You expect there to be mostly tourists. According to your research, the only hotel in the town, the Gilman Hotel, is located in Old Town. You think about checking in. You could do with freshening up and getting rid of that bus smell that is still clinging to your clothes. Just as you're about to set off, your heart leaps into your throat. You've forgotten your briefcase. This has never happened to you. You usually take good care of the little you possess. There's nothing you can do about this now. You'll have to wait until your return journey to find out whether someone is handed in at the Lost and Found. Still, you could swear that the briefcase was already gone when you got off the bus. You decide on... we should go to the hotel first. You recognize its roof from afar, and after a long walk, it is now before you in full splendor. The Gilman Hotel. At least it's easy to see that it once must have been a gorgeous building. The hotel resembles an old English country estate, but in its present state, it would be suited as the setting for a very predictable film about teenagers and chainsaw killers. I think that's supposed to be a comma there. Wild and withered ivy has a firm grip on the walls and obscures the details of the richly decorated facade. A gallery of gargoyles, melted into unreal shapes by an acid rain, and acidic pigeon droppings lines the roof. The many window panes have been neglected for years. Only in a few places has a small area been wiped clean in order to see outside. There are 2 cars in the parking lot, a vintage car with large rust spots, and a large gray van. Kind of van you've always been warned about as a child. Inspect the cars? You look around again just to make sure that the people who own the cars aren't hiding somewhere with their shotgun at the ready. The coast is clear. First, you walk over to the antique car. Well, you're not a car expert, but the car looks antique to you anyway. Both seats inside are made of white leather, a bit tacky. You turn away from the antique car and look towards the van. No writing on the side, a regular registration plate, the windows in the front blacked out. Hang on. You have a brainwave. Maybe this is the van into which poor Tabitha had been pulled when she was kidnapped, when she was lured to her awful fate by sweets and lollipops. That sounds like utter nonsense. All of a sudden you realize how absurd this theory sounds. Maybe you would actually solve the case if you did some real investigating, and didn't just hang around parking lots. Stealthily, you look around. After admiring the old car one last time, you walk back to the hotel. You really hope the inside of the hotel has been looked after a little better than the outside, but you're quickly disabused of that notion. The massive wooden door is difficult to open. Shouldn't the staff be doing this anyway? With a loud creaking sound from the hinges and exhausted puffing and panting on your part. With a loud creaking sound from the hinges and exhausted puffing and panting on your part, you manage to open the door and enter the lobby of the Gilman Hotel. You wonder if guests are even welcome in this place. The room is sparsely lit. There are impressive chandeliers hanging from the ceiling, which, if working, would perhaps not quite give the grand hall back its original splendor, but at least convey more warmth. Your first steps tell you that there are rotten floorboards hiding under the thick carpet. The green wall paneling and wallpaper also appear rotten and musty. Sort of wet? Before you let yourself be distracted by the questionable interior design and the associated health issues, you walk purposely towards the reception desk. A small greenish creature stands behind the counter. The loudly humming ceiling lamp above harshly illuminates his silhouette and gives his face hard edges. You can make out every individual speck of dust and dandruff on his shoulder, on his dark green velvet collar and crooked shoulders. Maybe they should be dimming the lights after all. The figure smiles at you, or perhaps it's more of a grin. His face unsettles you. You lean forward at an angle to get a better look at him. The corners of his mouth reach all the way up to his dried up ears. His smile looks like it's painted on. His beady eyes lie deep in the cavity of his skull and seem to stare into opposite directions. Has he even blinked yet? And on top of it all, he smells funny. How may I help? You're startled and take a step back. Welcome to the Gilman Hotel. My name is Cornelius Gilman III. How may I be of service to you? The man's gaze remains unchanged, as a natural smile still seems to be etched into his face. You're still surprised that he can talk with that expression on his face. Just a moment ago, you could have sworn he was an inanimate puppet. Just like now when he's not speaking. I would like to book a room, please. I would like to book a room, you begin, and manage not to blurt out, in a different hotel. Perfect. The Gilman Hotel is delighted to be able to welcome you as its guest. May I ask whether you're in Innsmouth for business or pleasure? How long will you be staying with us? Would you prefer a view towards the beach or the skyline of our exciting town? When would you like to be woken up? Do you sleep deeply? Are you traveling alone? Do you have family? Who knows that you're here? Can I interest you in our spa, fitness, and wellness activities? Would you like to subscribe to our newsletter? I hate it. How long can you hold your breath? Answer all the questions. You tick the box next to business. How long will you be staying with us? For about a week. Favorite view of the beach. Would you like to be woken up? Yes. Do you sleep deeply? I don't like any of these. I never sleep. Are you traveling by yourself? I'm always by myself. Do you have family? I have this goldfish called Al. Who knows that you're here? Al knows. Can I interest you in our spa, fitness, and wellness activities? Yes, please. Would you like to subscribe to our newsletter? I will kill anyone who tries to get me to subscribe to their cursed newsletter. No. How long can you hold your breath? Funny story, I've been able to breathe underwater since I was a child. Are we done now? Can I go to my room? The concierge expression did not change a tiny bit for the duration of your conversation, let alone did he blink. Thank you very much. That is all I needed to know. Now, all you need to do is sign here. He tilts his strangely shaped head over to the guest register. Impatiently, you sign with Noob Slayer 505 XXX, Jado. Sadly, we're all booked up this season. There's only one spare room. Here is your key for room 666. Enjoy your stay. You look at the key, which has magically appeared on the counter. Then your eyes slowly wander past the man to the wall where countless other keys are hanging. What now? You look at the golden panels with the layout of the different rooms and floors. Room 666. There it is, 4th floor, left wing of the building. You walk up the stairs to the upper floors, but you can still feel the eyes of the concierge on you. Panting, you finally reach your door. An almost endless corridor spreads out in front of you. On the other end, you can see a figure who seems to be as lost as you are. Didn't the building look much smaller from the outside? You walk down the corridor when you notice the figure approaching you. Your brain is mentally preparing itself for benign hotel small talk. But wait, it's you. You walk a bit further and realize you're standing in front of a mirror. That's why the corridor looks so vast. The mirror marks a fork. According to the room numbers, your room should be further on the left. In the corridor towards the room, you can see a small yellow sign on the floor. Maintenance. After 2 more confusing turns and giant mirrors, you reach room 666. Finally, you're going to drop your stuff and take a nap. Good plan. Of course, the door resists being opened. You jerk the key back and forth in the lock until you hear a satisfying clicking sound. A soothing warmth hits you as you enter the room. Immediately, the synapses in your brain switch into energy-saving mode. The trip to Innsmouth has probably taken more out of you, more than you had thought. You don't even notice the rest of the room. The sight of the bed makes you yearn for a little shut-eye. Rest. Your hand glides over the tightly pulled bedspreads. No dust. That's a good sign, right? Carefully sit down on the edge of the bed just to make sure the mattress doesn't explode upon contact. You're delighted that there's no explosion. You take off your coat and shoes, then stretch out on the bed. Mild but all-encompassing pain that you hadn't even noticed before melts off your spine. Everything is warm and pleasant. You feel free and weightless. Young people call this a power nap. You close your eyes for 10 minutes. Then you'll be ready for the rest of the day. Sounds completely convincing. Close your eyes and snooze away. That escalated quickly. You transition fluidly into your dreams. You've only just closed your eyes and you're already somewhere else. Suddenly, your worries are very different. You're running in a desolate, gray maze of winding alleys. You can hear the cheerful laughter of a small child. If only you could catch up, you could save the child and take them home to safety. Sprint down the path and turn around the corner, then around another. The alleyway stretches out in front of you, but there's no person to be seen anywhere. What was that? Was that a shadow at the corner of the street back there? The silhouette of a figure? You realize that someone is following you. The figure in the distance has already disappeared behind the next corner. Maybe you can still catch up with it. The alleys wind through the town in confusing ways. Nothing makes sense anymore. Wherever you move, you never arrive in the place you expected to. It feels as if slowly but surely, you're walking right into the jaws of a massive monster. All of a sudden, the walls close in on you, and the path becomes so narrow that you have to walk sideways in order to fit through. Whatever is behind you is getting closer. There is no point in following this endless labyrinth forever. With bated breath, you turn around and look down the street you just came from, in order to face whatever is pursuing you. No matter how hard you try, your eyes refuse to look directly at it. The tentacled meatball right in front of you seems to be only a small outgrowth of the much larger but also shapeless and impossible creature that has fallen you. You begin to despair. You close your eyes. You close your eyes and your fear is gone. Did that thing really look that horrible? Didn't it actually resemble that creature from the cartoon series about a school full of monsters? It was naked and carried its 2 eyes in its hand. Cartoon series are pretty sick sometimes. Heavy steps announce the bizarre creature is waiting. Heavy steps announce the bizarre creature is approaching. Open your eyes. It wasn't so bad after all, you thought when you opened your eyes. Panting, you wake up. In one panicked movement, you throw the blanket off the bed. What a nightmare. At least it's over now. Your room is still plunged into the greenish light from the moon. It's still the middle of the night. Sleep is out of the question for now. You approach the window. Even from a distance, the light of the moon blinds you. Everything is bathed in an unreal green shimmer. The stately houses across the hotel, the neglected, wildly growing hedges on the sidewalk, the mob armed with torches looking up into your room. What? They're staring up at you. It's hard to tell who these hooded people are. Without wanting to be prejudiced, you assume that they are good citizens of Innsmouth. Some of the figures point with their torches to your room on the higher floor. Then they limp towards the hotel entrance. You briefly wonder if these kind people might know anything about missing children. You take flight. With your heart pounding, you grab your trench coat and tiptoe to the door. Enough time wasted. The carpet fortunately muffles most of your steps. Only now and then a rotten floorboard gives a telltale sign. You rush down the hall until you get to the fork. You take the way to the foyer. Your first impulse is to leave the hotel, but the only exit you know is in the lobby. With any luck, old Mr. Gilman is still on duty. You're not quite sure if you saw a phone at his desk, but you're pretty sure he'll be able to call the police for you. Your heart is beating faster and faster. You run through the corridors, and you run straight into the mob. 24 strangers dressed in hooded robes are gathered in the corridor. Only one man has taken off his hood, so you have to endure looking at his bizarre face, pop eyes, sunken cheeks, and pupils that you only know from the animal kingdom. How nice of you to join us, he croaks with obvious satisfaction. We were short on time anyway. Ia, Cthulhu Fatagan. The group starts to chant. One of his arms reaches up to take a swing at you. The dim light of the foyer, you make out something shiny, but it's only there for a fraction of a second. Then all of your attention is focused on your throat. All of a sudden, it's impossible to breathe, and there's a pain that spreads mercilessly. The strangers keep repeating their strange sentence while you sink down onto your knees. You can feel blood running down your neck. You gaze down at the carpet. Despite the darkness, you think that you can make out a few blurred dark red spots on the fabric, but maybe you are just imagining things. Bad ending. Sacrifice to the gods. You're offered as a sacrifice to Dagon. Congratulations. It said escape to skip? Yeah. They won't come into your room at this time of night. You're a good girl. A blockade should buy you some time. It's almost as if the panic gives you superhuman strength. Without losing much time, you pile up cupboards and wedge them together to build a strong defense. Someone slips a key in the lock to your room from the outside. Your insides cramp. How is it possible that strangers have access to your room? But your grudge against Mr. Gilman must wait. You have other worries right now. The doorknob jerks. Someone pushes against the door, but is stopped by your furniture barricade. You have other worries right now. The doorknob jerks. Someone pushes against the door, but is stopped by your furniture barricade. A few inches. That's as far as the strangers get. Finally, the angry voice outside speaks up. Okay, does anybody here not have mutated hands? Silence. Spellbound, you listen, but all you can hear is the beating of your own heart. Damn it, growls the stranger. People start to complain and accuse each other. People seem to be walking up and down, but eventually they move away from your room. It sounds as if the doors to other rooms are being opened. Slowly, you sink down to the carpet. You didn't notice it before, but you are now bathed in sweat. When you can no longer hear footsteps or shouts from the outside, you stagger back to your bed. Although you are not 100% sure whether you are safe, sleep tempts you. It's just after midnight and your eyes are tired. Was this the only horde of armed lunatics on the road at that time? You spend the rest of the night... Of course, they'll never find you under the bed. You crawl under the bed, trying as best as you can to ignore the cobwebs that are covering your face. You lie huddled in the dark and convince yourself that this is a good idea. You struggle. The hours seem to crawl by slowly. Welcome to the Hotel Massachusetts. You guys can see that. In a haze, you walk into the bathroom and change. Your face in the mirror above the sink looks like it's aged by many years. You walk through the corridor, then down the stairs to the foyer. You give Mr. Gilman the key. I hope you had a pleasant night in our hotel. Very nice of you to bring back the key. Would you be so kind as to fill out our questionnaire? With a stiff smile, he hands you a sheet of paper and a pen. You fill in the questionnaire. You roll your eyes pointedly, but then you start to fill in the form truthfully, apart from your current personal details. Would you recommend the Gilman Hotel to your friends? How satisfied were you with the service? Was there always a contact person available for you? You whistle quietly, the nerve of him. You'd love to ask Mr. Gilman questions about everything that went on last night, but an instinct that usually prefers to sleep advises you to get out of here while you can. None of the holiday makers that you met around town yesterday are anywhere to be seen on your way back. The bus leaving Innsmouth for Boston is already waiting for you. It seems to just be waiting for you and a handful of disfigured villagers. Not a single tourist is among the travelers. They're probably much smarter than you and all arrived by car. When the old bus starts to move, you decide to stop thinking about it. Months later. Boston, 13th November. You jerk awake. Only the pale moonlight seeps through the blinds of your apartment. It must be very late in the night. You're soaked in sweat, as per usual. You sit up on the edge of the bed and try to calm down. You're safe. You're at home. You've managed to put an end to their schemes, the kidnappings, and all the lies. You've escaped, but you're still under the spell of Innsmouth. Bad feeling. You return to Boston. You did everything you could. No. How do I... Actually, I'm looking for someone. Here I am. The small, plump woman starts giggling. Innsmouth welcomes you warmly, so you're looking for someone. It's not that uncommon for two lonely hearts to find one another in this romantic place. Muriel winks at you. Mention the missing girl. You see, I'm looking for this girl. It's always about a girl, isn't it? Tabitha Marsh, 8 years old. Her mother asked me to take on the case. You take out the photo and Muriel immediately rips it out of your hand. Oh, what a cutie. But I'm sorry to say I've not heard anything about missing girls. How awful. This sort of thing doesn't happen in Innsmouth. Perhaps you can have a look around the beach or on the playground. There are a lot of kids around here. I'm sure that's where the little one will be. With an unnaturally wide grin, she hands you back the photo, turns around quickly, and makes her way over to accost another tourist family. You head further into town along the cobbled road in the direction of the coast. Not long ago, the sun was bright in the sky, but already the first wafts of mist are creeping into the streets. The air feels thicker and the sun can no longer penetrate the fog. Time to think about where you want to go. You slow down, you lean your briefcase against the wall, and start pacing up and down the quiet alleyway. You've got an important choice to make right now. The city center is in the north. Even from afar, you can see the outlines of the old and ornately decorated buildings in the main town square. Here, you should find the police station, the main shopping street, and of course, the town hall. As a coastal town, Innsmouth also has a harbor. From your research, you found out that this is a bustling area with dreamy beach. You expect there to be mostly tourists. According to your research, the only hotel in the town, the Gilman Hotel, is located in the old town. You think about checking in. You could do with freshening up and getting rid of that bus smell that is still clinging to your clothes. We should go to the harbor. Innsmouth Harbor is signposted much better than the local hospital. You wonder if a hospital is even needed here. It's a half-hour walk. A mile-long carpet of cobblestones is now ahead of you. The traffic in Boston is more hectic, but at least they have heard of asphalt before. As you keep walking, there are fewer and fewer residential buildings along your path. In their steads, there are now warehouses that must be fish markets due to the smell. You can also hear the occasional metallic clanking from nearby workshops. People in gray raincoats are walking towards you. They're probably fishermen who have some errands to run. Now and again, in that split second when you pass one another, you catch a glimpse of the faces hidden under the hoods. Puffy eyes that look at you suspiciously. Although there are a few clouds in the sky, there's no chance of rain as far as you can tell. Why are they all wrapped up like that? You wonder if they have a sixth sense for the approaching storms. The sound of the rhythmic blows of a hammer nearby tears you away from these thoughts. Be interesting to watch the work in a shipyard, but little Tabitha isn't likely to be here to play. From a distance, you can already see the masts of the boats, which rise up into the sky like a row of spears. You walk along a small street in the quay, with the harbor basin just behind it. Your lungs fill with fresh air and a peaceful feeling settles within you. The air seems to do you a world of good. More than that, it fills you with life. You should travel to the rural coast more often to escape the noise and smell of the big city. The view of the harbor is splendid. Boats of all shapes and sizes are coming and going. Nets are being emptied out and fish seem to be endlessly splashing into huge freezer boxes. Local trades are being sealed with handshakes, and at the end of the wide headland, a huge lighthouse watches majestically over the bay. The ideal postcard motif, if it weren't for the people. You only know fishermen from the movies, and you have to admit that you have certain prejudices. These include, they have weather-beaten skin, and the captains always have well-groomed beards. They are either strong, silent types, or hard-drinking lads who sing filthy sea shanties. But these creatures in front of you are neither majestic nor leery. They move around more like tragic hunchbacks you'd expect to see in French cathedrals. A few yards to the right, there's a fork in the road, and the road sign pointing further north. Its inscription reads, Innsmouth Paradise Beach. In the far distance, you can see a building that looks like a church. Hang on, a church? On the coast? How eccentric. You go to the church. Church is located on a hill overlooking the harbor. You're immediately drawn towards it. You stroll along the docks towards the cliff. You take in the pleasant sea breeze and the hustle and bustle of the ships. Your original mission pops into your mind. This place is so relaxing, it's just too easy to forget about the little girl. Out of the corner of your eye, you can see 3 fishermen whose boat is just moored. They are not working. In fact, they are not doing anything. They're just standing there staring at you. That feeling of serenity is slowly overtaken by anxiety. You speed up your pace. All of a sudden, it feels as if you got a big target on your trench coat. It's difficult, but you manage to swallow the provocative comments that you would have liked to hurl at the fishermen. Instead, try to act more discreetly. After a few yards, you turn around again. They're all gone. The crew must have disappeared below deck in their little boat. What a strange bunch. Suddenly, it's utterly plausible to you that people in this town can disappear just like that. You're a little closer to the church building now, and you're relieved. You're a little closer to the church building now, and you're relieved to find that there are a few dozen people outside its gates. And they're not the usual creepy Innsmouth kind. The group are gesticulating and discussing something in a very animated manner. Normal people. As you reach the courtyard, you're able to assess the situation a little better. Two groups with about the same number of people are confronting one another, surrounded by a few more reserved onlookers. Two shouty people, who appear to be the representatives of the two camps, are facing each other. A bronze plaque is displayed above the gates to the entrance. Engraved on it, Esoteric Order of Dagon. Whatever their issues might be, they clearly don't concern you. The two parties are so engrossed in their discussion, they don't even take note of you. You stroll past them unnoticed. Why not? You're already here after all. Almost immediately, two grumpy-looking men clothed like fishermen stand in your way, preventing you from entering the church. They seem to have a competition going as to who can give you the most sinister look. I need to go in there. I don't think so, scoffs the younger of the two. Yeah, I don't think you need to go in there. This is only for the children of Dagon, the older one grunts. They look at you with a glint in their eyes. You decide to leave. Other than religious fanatics, the Church of Dagon does not seem to have much else to offer, and there are enough of those in Boston. You walk down the sloping path from which you have come until you are back in the quay wall of the harbor. You go to the beach. The beach. The screeching of seagulls, an endless white, well, brown, okay, fine, gray beach, and the sound of the waves. Clean, well, potentially clean water. The algae are way too dense to really tell. You walk on the sand and move a little closer to the waterline, curious about what you might discover there. Although the sea is not stormy and the tide is low, Innsmouth Beach is not really a touristy place. Everything is simply too gray. This is what you associate with a real vacation. Cocktails. More paper umbrellas, bits of fruit, and straws, the better. You rub your hand. You can hardly wait to blissfully collapse into a hammock with a drink in your hand. You were born for that. Lost in thought, you keep wandering over the dunes. You notice how all the colors of the sea and the beach seem to be swallowed up by the strange light conditions there. You hold your hand up in front of your face. Your skin looks gray and matte. But still you feel relaxed. The murmur of the sea invigorates you. You feel a deep sense of longing within you, a serene sense of inner peace and freedom until the techno music starts. A monotonous beat. The sound seems to come directly from the beach bar a few hundred yards off in the distance, which appears to be surrounded by about a dozen people. Given the changing weather, it's perhaps no surprise. What else is one supposed to do on this beach apart from drink cheap cocktails and dancing to bad music? Something strange grabs your attention, a kind of cage standing in the shallow water, perhaps 12 feet wide and deep. You walk to the cage. Thanks to the low tide, you're able to get close to the strange object. The sea has retreated into the distance, and so the cage stands there, looking strangely lost. As you approach it, you take off your shoes and socks and turn your trouser legs up a little. Finally, you stand in front of the cage. There is a visible line on the cage, about 3 feet from the ground. The metal on the top half still looks quite stable. The bottom half must normally be submerged in water. Finally, you stand in front of the cage. There is a visible line on the cage about 3 feet from the ground. The metal on the top half still looks quite stable. The bottom half must normally be submerged in the water. Slimy black algae winds from around the metal rods. What's strange to you is the position of the cage. Very strange. The dunes are not that far away. On your way, you notice that this is the part of the beach that usually remains untouched by the water, so even the high tide doesn't get to it. You must have only walked 50 yards. Even if the tide comes in, you think that the cage will never actually be completely submerged in water. But isn't that the point of these things? You start thinking about lobster cages, and then shark cages. That's all you find here. You linger for a bit, but then walk back to the sandy part of the beach. Cries of the seagulls are increasingly drowned out by the early 90s techno beats. One note, that's all some people need to enjoy themselves. One note in an endless loop. The owner of the beach bar has taken great pains to make up for some of Innsmouth's deficits. Bar is made from the wooden planks and features a nice countertop and exotic canopy made from palm trees. Admittedly, the palm trees are no longer green. They're gray and dried out, just as if a demon had sucked the life force out of them. But it's easy to imagine that all this must have looked quite pretty once. The bar is flanked by wooden bar stools, and a few meters away, towards the ocean, 2 rows of deck chairs have been put up so that people can get drunk while lying down. From a distance, the bar looks busy, but now, as you arrive, you realize that the party is already over, if it ever did take place. A dozen people hang out here. A few surfer dudes stagger about like zombies. Some of them carry empty cocktail glasses around. Some of them yell, "Party!" and "Woohoo!" enthusiastically. Precisely, this kind of people. A guy with long hair and sunglasses nods his head in time to the techno beat and taps along on the bar counter with his flat hand. There's no bar staff in sight. One of the tourist families you had spotted on the way here has spread out on the deck chairs. They are evidently trying to keep away from the party. You look around. You follow an instinct and sit down at the bar. This place reminds you of your favorite bar in Boston, only that here there's sand on the ground instead of vomit. You feel at home. Some hippie is poking out the slushy fruit remains on his cocktail glass with a straw. He nods over to you as you sit down. This is clearly not his first drink. Where's the bartender? He stops poking the fruit in his glass around and pushes his bandana into place. Don't know. Things were really happening, you get me? Then Zeke took off about an hour ago, and since then, no booze. He sighs. It's the kind of sigh that you might hear from a war veteran. Why would someone simply leave a busy bar? A bar with an unattended supply of alcohol? Something's not right. Time passes. Your bottom slowly becomes numb on the uncomfortable bar stool, but by now you are too lazy to move. Time passes. Your bottom slowly becomes numb on the uncomfortable bar stool, but by now you are too lazy to move. Finally. Yeah, about time, some of the tourists proclaim. What's going on there? A bored-looking man enters the area behind the bar. You wonder how old he is, but it's really hard to tell. He is wearing a stained green shirt and squiggly G is embroidered on the left breast pocket. This must be Zeke, the bartender. When word of the barman's return is spread, holidaymakers swarm the beach bar like bees around a honeypot. Sorry it took so long. Part-time job at the hotel, he says, bored, and attaches a little sign to his shirt, which reads, "Happy to serve you today, Ezekiel. You get 1 round of Innsmouth specials on me." He expertly lines up a row of tall, highball glasses and begins to cut up a pineapple. People start cheering, "Go Zeke! Go Zeke!" 2 young men start chanting. They enthusiastically jump up and down while hugging each other. It takes a while until the first rush to the bar is over. You wonder what you could ask Ezekiel. Try the Innsmouth special. Curious, what's the Innsmouth special? An STD? This is the best drink on the whole East Coast, baby, one of the techno guys sings songs drunkenly. Concerning the way he holds himself up, it borders on a miracle that he managed to string together a coherent sentence. The surrounding people merely nod. Nobody seems to know which ingredients are actually used in this concoction. You try a sip. Better drunk than sorry. Cheers, Ezekiel mumbles without looking at you. He calmly continues to chop pieces of pineapple to prepare the next batch of drinks. You sip from the glass and the taste of strong alcohol is bitter on your tongue. The orange juice and pineapple pieces barely hide the high rum content. Admittedly, you've previously exposed your body to much worse fluids. Tastes awful. Better not. The desire for unrestrained binge drinking disappears as quickly as it came. You put the glass back down on the counter. Will the taste of rum ever leave your tongue again? You wonder what you could ask Ezekiel. Is this place always this busy? There's a steady rush on the bar. The tourists continue to enjoy their drinks. Nobody seems to want to leave the beach bar. Not bad for the northeast coast in late September. Is this place always this busy, you inquire? Nope. Bit busier this weekend, but wait until midnight. Then the party really starts, if you know what I mean. He winks at you. You say, no. What's going to happen at midnight? No. What's going to happen at midnight, you say, betraying your utter cluelessness. He pointedly rolls his eyes. Fine, you won't be on the VIP list then. Their loss. Well, the real party is happening, Ezekiel explains in a condescending tone. Right down by the sea. If you want to be hip, you should be there. You feel a bit queasy in the stomach. Do you want to be hip? Not really. You'd kill to have some random dude call you hip. Count me in. How exciting. Only with great difficulty do you manage to keep your composure and continue the conversation. You wonder what you could ask Ezekiel. Can we ask him about the girl that we're here to save? With a heavy heart, you leave this man to work. You've already spent too much time during this investigation at the beach bar. So what now? The sea breeze makes you sleepy. You trot towards the deck chairs in the haze. Can't hurt to just rest for a moment. It means you'll be able to resume your mission full of energy or whatever. Most of the chairs are free. All offer excellent views of the sea and the increasing cloudy horizon. You're spoiled for choice. Of course, you're going to over to where some of the other tourists are. Why not? Maybe you'll be able to learn their language if you spend some time around them. It's one of the families you've already noticed a few times today. Happily chatting parents who are constantly eating their chronically bad-tempered children. The four are hard to miss with their loud chatter and tasteless tourist outfits. They settle down on the deck chairs, sipping on some soft drinks. You clear your throats. The international sign for, "Hello there, I'd like to say something." What are you going to ask them? "I'm looking for this girl," you say, and show them a photo of Tabitha. The parents bend forward and squint in order to see the little face better. "Nope, sorry," the father says and goes back to sipping his fruit juice. "Nope, me neither," the wife adds. "Nothing then." Do you know what these cages are for?" That strange frame alone in the water in the middle of nowhere. You have to keep thinking about it. "Do you know what these cages are for?" you ask the parents. "Oh, those," the father's face lights up. "We've just taken some photos of them. I think they're for children to climb on." "They're not meant for children," his wife chips in. "It's how people here catch lobster and whales and things like that." "Bullshit," the son murmurs. He pokes the sand with a wooden branch, probably imagining he's stabbing someone. "They're from the Middle Ages and people were put in there to drown." "Aw, kids." You decide to lean into your antisocial side. You get comfortable on the deck chair. The incoherent chatter of the family remains merely a static noise in the background. Not too shabby. The dark clouds strung together on the horizon worry you a little, but they're far away enough for you to simply enjoy the moment on the beach. Technically, you've been near a beach the whole time, but you couldn't really switch off. There was a haunting sense of danger, a feeling of paranoia that you simply couldn't shake off. Luckily, the paranoia has now gone. Cool sea breeze caresses your face as you tune out of the other tourists' annoying conversations. You listen to the murmur of the waves. The regular to and fro of the sea has a soothing effect on you. Your eyes fall shut. It's cold, you're freezing, which is annoying because you had settled down quite comfortably on one of the deck chairs. You could swear you'd noticed a shadow while half asleep. There was a figure who tried to grab you and carry you away. Was that all a dream? A chilly wind blows on your face. Oh, damn it, this case is going to be the death of you. You simply lie there as if dead. Your attempts to return to a more comfortable position are punished by a stabbing pain in your behind. Some bit from the chair is digging into you. Probably a cheap model. Damn tight asses, you mutter weakly. Push yourself into an upright position. The sun has now set and all their holiday makers have gone. Instead of freezing their asses off, they're probably sitting in a warm hotel by now. The moon illuminates the beach and waves shimmer in its eerie green glow. Green, nature is fascinating. You stretch your tense neck when you notice some lights off in the distance. Night has fallen, and with each passing minute, it seems to get chillier. The lights appear to be moving and are leading away from the town. You wonder whether you should take a closer look at the spectacle or to go to your warm hotel. You go along the beach towards the lights. Why not? The day is almost over anyway. Maybe you can at least manage to figure out what the lights in the distance are all about. You trudge through the sand, then you notice that the lights you are heading towards are moving. They do not stand still, but twitch back and forth. Hang on a moment. You're on a beach. It's night. Weird blinking lights. This is clearly... I don't like any of these. God damn. A UFO sect. These nerds are probably making crop circles in the sand circles, so to speak. What might the lights mean? Are these idiots trying to use some kind of Morse code to attract the attention of flying saucers? You've arrived. Somewhat indecisively, you stand on the sand dune and take in the spectacle. There are 20, maybe 30 people who have gathered here on the beach close to the waves. You can see that they are naked under their rags and nets that they are wearing on their bodies. They are performing a sensual and seemingly uncontrollable dance while waving glow sticks in the air. The masks that people are wearing seem familiar from film and television. Distorted faces with angry mouths and ugly Google eyes. Reminds you a little of voodoo, but here on the coast of New England? You're not quite sure anymore whether you are at a rave party or actually an exotic fertility ritual. The acoustics are bad. Instead of the clear techno beat, the acoustics are bad. Instead of the clear techno beats the people here rely on singing. They could do with rehearsing, though. Without any sense of rhythm, the people are chanting the same refrain over and over again. Ia, Ia, Cthulhu Fatagan. The whole point of holidays is doing crazy things you normally wouldn't, and besides, nobody here knows you. You sneak up to the group of dancers and attempt to seamlessly blend into the chaotic spectacle. You are lucky. In the midst of the rags that most people are wearing here, your detective outfit doesn't particularly stand out. You're just another freak among many. You get swept up in the ecstasy of the dance. Your thighs tremble and your arms wriggle about. You throw back your head and join the loud chanting. Yeah, yeah, Sully Frogs, you enthusiastically imitate the chant. A few glow sticks have been dropped during the dance and lie abandoned in the sand. When you bend down to pick up one of them, you realize that they are not disposable glow sticks at all. They are algae, glowing algae. Keep dancing cheerfully. Past the bizarre mask with swollen eyes, which up close looked much more threatening. It's scary. From a distance, this horror part of the show would have completely escaped you. The party seems to be shifting on to the next phase. The dancers have now stopped their ecstatic movements and stand still with their outstretched arms facing the ocean. Silence, complete silence, apart from the monotonous murmur of the waves. Then you can make out another sound, a strange hissing. Another group of amateur actors joins the dancers. They come straight out of the water and wear costumes more suitable for Halloween than a rave party. Greenish scales cover their costumes. Or is it professional makeup? The scaly skin costumes look super real. The muscular, clumsy, and much too long arms end in a set of lifelike claws. The heads are a mixture of dumb-looking fish and a deadly grizzly. Whoever came up with this mask seriously needs to see a therapist. When the first masked creature reaches the group of dancers, you realize that these guys must have seriously trained for this gig. All of them have bodies you can only get through years of hard physical training and guzzling down loads of steroids. They're also stark naked. You tilt your head involuntarily. Some things on bodies are quite difficult to replicate, even with paper mache or plastic mold. You know this from your own Halloween craft endeavors. It is even more difficult to make these things move and react authentically. It takes a lot of willpower to tear your eyes away from the sight. The dance group seems to welcome the newcomers warmly. They mingle. Each of the costume giants seems to know exactly with whom they want to spend their evening. It does not take long, and every party guest is paired up with one of the fish creatures. You stand a little off to the side and watch as they explore each other's bodies. Then they start to... Whoa. Okay, this party is definitely X-rated. A brave choice for a tourist entertainment program. While you are still gasping for air indignantly, the couples are already rolling on the sand, groaning with pleasure. Only one of the costume giants has not yet found a partner. His milky eyes fall on you. Uh-oh. He stalks over to you on his long legs. With one of his claws, he points at you, then at himself. No. No, thank you. Somehow the guy managed to wrinkle his chunky forehead. Unbelievable how lifelike the mask looks. You think to yourself again. Then his body jerks forwards. On his stilt legs, he stands tall and proud in front of you, and then tightens his fist as far as his claws allow it. The toothed mouth opening of the fish mask emits a soft hissing sound. No means no. In the big city, you constantly have to deal with toxic alpha male behavior. The scumbag doesn't know what he's gotten himself into for asking like that. No means no, fish face. Couples interrupt their passionate encounters and stretch their necks in your direction to look at what's happening. Damn, you would have preferred to keep your private life out of Innsmouth gossip. Man in costume still doesn't seem to understand that you're not interested in him. He walks up another step and is now definitely invading your private space. Just as you start looking for escape options, one of the other amateur actors puts his hand on his shoulder and bares his saber-like teeth. He hisses. Two more of them head over to you. Finally, someone is coming to your aid. They poke their index claws into his chest, wag their arms, and don't stop hissing at him. In the meantime, all the couples have stopped rubbing themselves against each other and now sit scowling on the cool sand. Even you, as the patron saint of socially incompetent, know that this party has come to an early end. The group disbands. The dancers stagger off into the darkness. The costumed actors disappear back into the sea. Hardcore, these guys. You sneak off. Darkness has befallen Innsmouth. Old-fashioned gaslight illuminate a few patches along the dark alleyways, but generally it doesn't look as if the town planners were too fussed with providing adequate lighting. Some streets are completely plunged in darkness. You struggle more and more to find your way around. Was this awful gargoyle already here earlier this afternoon, or are you in the wrong part of town altogether? When you're almost about to give up your search for the Gilman Hotel and resign to finding a cozy spot somewhere on the curb, you see it, the outline of the hotel roof. Luckily, the hotel is set apart clearly from the misshapen nearby tenements. The Gilman Hotel is an architectural masterpiece. Although right now in the dark you can't make out many of its stylistic features, the hotel majestically rises 4 stories above the rickety houses that surrounded it. A sea of leaves glints in the light of the moon. Must be ivy. An empty parking lot makes you think that the hotel must still have some rooms available. You feel like you've been followed for a long time. Growing paranoia and constant glancing over your shoulder, you'll be able to forget all of this very soon. You follow the path leading up to the entrance and come to a standstill in front of the massive oak door. Your hand touches the cold metal handle. You press it down and pull out. But to your surprise, the door doesn't open. The hotel seems shut. Surely it should be possible to wake up the concierge, the lobby boy, or the underpaid intern. Under a polished brass sign that reads Best Hotels Competition 1928 First Round Competitor, you find the doorbell. You press down the button for a second, then again for longer, and then once more for good luck. Whatever this doorbell is ringing, you can't hear its chime out there. You press the button a few more times. By now some angry person should be here to threaten you with physical violence. Nothing. The owner of the hotel is making it very difficult for you to spend your money. Knock on the door. They've asked for this. Hoping to maybe wake up one of the hotel guests, you pound your fist against the door. Apart from a bit of dust falling off the door frame, your efforts are in vain. You only produce muffled sound, and you doubt that anyone inside will hear them. It's hard to believe, but the architecture of the hotel seems to be of very high quality. You begin to wonder why anyone would waste their exquisite workmanship in a place like Innsmouth. Forlorn, you stand in front of the hotel. Walk around the property. Metal bars in front of the windows make it impossible to simply climb inside, but you had at least hoped to find a lit window which you could knock on to make yourself known to someone inside. They won't even let you give one of the night shift staff a good scare. All the rooms inside the hotel seem to be in complete darkness, including the foyer. No one is working. No one is having a drink at the hotel bar. You walk around the hotel still hoping to find a lit window somewhere. No such luck. Soon you're back at the entrance. It's hard to believe such a thing possible these days, but the hotel really seems to be closed. No one is allowed in or out for that matter. Do the guests know that they're locked in the building overnight? Will there be another gormless tourist in an hour or two trying to get in, just like you are now? Not actually your problem, you remind yourself. You turn around, leave the hotel behind you, and walk back to the street. You wander the streets. The dark clouds spread from the sea like claws that ominously reach for the town. Reach for you. The sun is set and the temperature is dripping fast. The air, too, gets cooler and the rough wind whips through the alleys. You're lost. You have no idea how to get out of this godforsaken town. And as if that weren't bad enough, you also underestimated the September weather on the coast. And the real cold temperature is still yet to come. Scattered raindrops do not bode well. You aimlessly wander the streets. The narrow alleys are a labyrinth of simple wooden fishermen's huts. At least you're not completely on your own. Look at that. Even at this late hour, there are groups of people out patrolling, with torches, and pitchforks, and knives, and nets. It's not necessarily the knives and the nets that make you worried. It's the limp that many of the villagers have which makes you nervous. The people don't walk, they waddle, stagger, stumble, and shuffle, with their upper bodies lifted up like malicious trolls in a fantasy film. You have found refuge behind some old barrels on a narrow side street. You would love to simply huddle up there, but in the middle of the alley you are without protection against the rain. The pitchforked mob still hasn't noticed you. You wonder what to do next. One alley follows the next. The ground is muddy with knee-deep puddles. The paths are lined with run-down huts, consisting of nothing but a few bricks and corrugated iron roofs, piled on top of each other. You must be in the old town, an area that is definitely not being advertised in the travel brochures. Very moment your cerebellum wants to complain about being bored, you run straight into the arms of a troll. Oh, damn it. Although they have not noticed you yet. Undecided, the group has gathered in the middle of the road and seems to be discussing their options. Nevertheless, they are alert and keep checking their surroundings. You reckon that they will discover you soon, because here in your position, you are a sitting duck. Your heart is pounding. Cover up your face. Following your intuition, you grab a piece of cloth dangling from a barrel. The torn cloth stinks of rotten fruit, which is welcome change from the rotten fish that you've been smelling the whole evening. You walk up to the small group of townsfolk. There, screamed the front man of the group, an old fisherman with a white, bushy beard. He waves his torch in your direction. His friends limp towards you, their rags and rain jackets and rags flap awkwardly against their bodies. Their rags and rain jackets and rags flap awkwardly against their bodies. Ia, Cthulhu Fatagan. Considering their limping horde of deformed lunatics, they manage to surround you quickly. Light of the torches dancing in the rain makes you already scary faces. The light of the torches dancing in the rain makes the already scary faces look even more bizarre. Nervously, they lick their bulging lips while they stick out their torches, knives, and pitchforks to keep you in check. You wonder if the people of Innsmouth suffer from radiation poisoning. It would explain so much. Hey, you there, the leader of the mob spits at you. Oh, damn it. There you were, hoping to be able to sneak past the creepy group, but you somehow must have caught their attention. What are you doing here all alone? Oh, I'm just going for a walk. I'm just going for a walk, you say innocently, and kick a rotting fish in front of you. He narrows his eyes. You're going for a walk? On a night like this? Outrageous, a few people shout from behind. Pitchfork is poking your buttocks. Meanwhile, the old fisherman steps up to you, his hands massaging the bulges of skin dangling from his face. Who are you? He asks suspiciously, as if by itself. Your hand touches the piece of cloth that covers your face. It's me. You give your real name. The men look briefly confused and exchange skeptical looks. It doesn't take long before you realize that you have just made a mistake unlike any other. Well then, welcome to Innsmouth, heathen, the old man purrs. He stares into some strangely deformed, elongated pupils. We are going to have fun tonight. He's looking at someone next to you. Before you consider what the hell is happening, something hits you against the back of the head. You lose consciousness. Freezing cold, voices, whispering, arguing, raindrops that roll off your forehead, pungent smell of fish that you have almost gotten used to. Damn it. Your cheek is pressed against something cool. After the first moment of disorientation, you realize that you are lying somewhere out on the street. You open your eyes. This situation is not new to you. On several drunken nights in Boston, you have ended up near a trash can on a dodgy side street. This is perfectly normal. You groan as you raise your head and immediately regret moving. All you can feel at the back of your head is pain. You have no doubt you are knocked out. You try to touch the back of your head but fail. You seem to be tied up. Okay, this is definitely not normal. At least now you recognize where you are. It's Innsmouth Town Square. At least 50 villagers have gathered around you. They have huddled together in small groups and are deep in conversation. Relaxed, they rest on their pitchforks and have thrown their fishing nets loosely over their shoulders. Now and then they grin at you. I don't think either of these are going to work. If all else fails, you decide to wallow in self-pity. After all, you have no clue how you got yourself into this situation. You wonder if those gangsters have also stolen your wallet and emptied your bank account. Do you have your apartment key? Have they already been to your crappy apartment in Boston? And what about your goldfish owl? You really should have fed him again before you left, damn it. You're going to lose everything. But they will never take away your online private detective license. A worn-down boot suddenly appears in your field of vision. Awake already, a voice croaks from above. With a great deal of effort, you manage to look up to see who dares to interrupt your fit of self-pity. It is the leader of the group, Abraham, who looks down on you triumphantly. From where you are, you can see all the small tumors that are sprouting from his chin. Yuck, you say involuntarily. If you've offended him, he doesn't show. He gives you a dirty grin. I hope you enjoyed your stay in our little town today, landlubber. Meh. It's pretty difficult to shrug your shoulders while lying on the floor in shackles. That's why all your reply is, meh. The old man shakes his head scornfully. You goddamn city dwellers and your indifference. Damn, the man whistles as if impressed. You are a tough guy, I'll give you that. I wonder how long that will last when you're on fire. Fire? Before you can ask for a more detailed explanation, you are grabbed by the arms. Some fishermen have silently approached you without noticing. They jerk you up into the air and carry you over to the square. After just a few yards, they slow down. The ground they're walking on seems less solid. You're standing by a stake. Two men in rags and gross bulges on their cheeks undo your handcuffs and then tie your arms around the central pole. The remaining villagers have interrupted their chatter and are coming closer. You tug on the ropes, twist, and turn your wrists as far as you can. No luck. The handcuffs are not even particularly well attached. You can feel their loose fit, just that they're strong enough to hold someone like you. Finally, about time, someone shouts annoyed and drowns out all the other conversations taking place in the town square. Looks like someone finally managed to light a torch. Solemnly, the men march towards you, and in awe, the other villagers make way for them. Not everyone in Innsmouth can light a fire. Two of the men remain with the other spectators, and Torchbearer continues alone until he stands before you in the stake. He turns his back on you and begins to speak to the eclectic audience. Brothers and sisters. Yes, Abraham, several people respond, which says a lot about the Innsmouth gene pool. Quiet, he growls immediately. I mean, everyone present. Satisfied, he solemnly spreads his arms. You can now see that the hand with which he holds the torch is a single flap of skin wrapped around the log. The hour approaches, and before you stands our tribute to Dagon. We share the sacrifice and the blessing, for we are faithful children of the... He falls silent. A dozen tourists walk out of the next alley along. The villagers look surprised and exchange baffled looks. Some look to Abraham for help. Embarrassed, Abraham drops the torch. Help! Hey, help me! Please, rescue me! You blurt out. You earn some deeply hurt looks from the villagers, but their feelings are not as high up on your priority list as, say, surviving this night. The tourists look over to you with interest. The first few break away from your group and come closer. A young blonde man takes selfies with you and himself at the stake. Hey, you scream at him. No one, absolutely no one, wants to see your posing holiday snaps. Inform the FBI. That's right, the FBI is the right institution to take apart this incestuous, fish-infested town. The man frowns. He looks at you and seems confused. Like a magnet, he is drawn back to the screen of his mobile phone. What? He asks, lost in thought as he types something on the device. This is not going well. A tourist stands in amazement before the stake. Is this one of those medieval games like they do in Salem? They like to do that over in Europe too, with knights and stuff like that. Abraham rolls his eyes. Sure, he replies, but that turns out to be the wrong move. Tourist waves over his companions. The group of tourists assembles in front of the stake, which means that the locals can no longer see you. Some of the rough-looking men in fishing coats walk up to Abraham and speak to him. They're obviously getting nervous. Meanwhile, a few of the tourists break away. They take pictures of you at the stake. Psst, you there, you said the people taking photos. A man with a mustache looks up at you irritably. What do you want? You gotta get me out of here, you say feebly. Unbelievable that you have to explicitly ask for it. What's your problem? The man asks. This is not for show. This is all real. You plead with increasing desperation. The man shakes his head in disapproval. I don't like that you're breaking character. Look, he gestures towards the ragged villagers. All these people down there are freezing their bottoms off while you stand up here, snug and in the limelight. So why are you trying to ruin it for everyone? God help you. Is he perhaps right? No, damn it, you scream hysterically. This isn't one of your stupid tourist programs. This is my life we're talking about. Yes, really stupid, someone from the group of tourists mutters. Who just said that, you hiss, thrusting your chin forward aggressively. Your audience, consisting of tourists and increasingly intimidated villagers, takes a step back. All these people are starting to get on your nerves. Now untie me, or there will be blood, you scream as if in Now untie me, or there will be blood, you scream as if in a frenzy. All this is getting too much for the locals, and their numbers visibly dwindle. Unsettled by the presence of many tourists and your rage, they try to inconspicuously disperse into the dingy side streets that lead off the town square. It is Abraham, of all people, who unties you. Murmuring apologies, he too disappears into the small crowd, and then down a dark alley. Are you happy now? One of the tourists asked peaked. Yes! Yes, you scream ecstatically, and spray strands of saliva everywhere. Impossible, the man says. This sums up your thoughts pretty succinctly. Disappointed that they were deprived of a free performance, the tourists shuffle on. You can finally get out of here. You've made it. At last, you leave the streets of Innsmouth. They had closed in on you so much that the whole place felt like it was suffocating you. A vast void of darkness lies ahead of you. The lousy little coastal town lies behind you. You've swapped it for a bumpy dirt road and a parking lot whose motorized inhabitants glisten peacefully in the moonlight. At least it's not raining anymore, but it's still freezing. You take a deep breath. The pressure in your chest that had built up during the day now finally dissipates. Sweet relaxation. You will revel in this as soon as you've made it back to Boston safely and have firmly planted your behind on your leather couch. But how are you going to get home now? You'll walk if you have to, damn it. Nothing will stop you from leaving this godforsaken town. You will walk a few miles home if that's what it takes. It wasn't that far, was it? Granted, your memories of how you got to Innsmouth in the first place are already a bit fuzzy, but this is still the northern part of the East Coast. How long can it really take? Besides, a journey of 1,000 miles begins with one step. You can deduct every mile of your journey from tax. A thought that is simultaneously comforting and unpleasant. Unpleasant because a long time ago, you started this job to actually help people. Something really must have gone wrong. Something really must have gone terribly wrong in your life over the last few months. Under your feet, sand and pebbles crunch as you set off on your journey home. The moonlight illuminates the path that lies before you, spotlight on this final act of your adventure. You're sleep-deprived and tired. As you look around again, you notice once more how so many things in Innsmouth are makeshift. They've really skimped on everything, you think to yourself. Endlessly repeating to your right are an avenue of trees, and to your left fallow fields, just like in those cheap cartoons from the 80s, in which one simple background image is repeated over and over again. A wooden sign, you are now leaving Innsmouth. Okay, this was the plan after all. You keep walking along the path, and on, and on. The row of trees to your right seems to be unending. Okay, you keep moving, and moving. Then sigh again, you are now leaving Innsmouth. As if that needed any more elucidation. Wooden boards nailed together haphazardly and written on them with matte red paint. Not a masterpiece by any stretch of the imagination. Always the same stupid text. You are now leaving Innsmouth. Suddenly you realize something. All these signs are identical. Down to the last small detail, you could swear it. There, on the last letter, where the paint had been applied too thickly and then had slowly trickled down the sign. Okay, keep moving. Yet another sign. Again and again, you are now leaving Innsmouth. You're starting to get a bad feeling about this. It's not actually that complicated. You're walking in a straight line, simply moving forwards. The explicit goal, to put distance between yourself and this godforsaken hellhole. Why do you feel like a mouse trapped in a labyrinth? A laboratory rat observed by cold, cruel eyes during a hopeless escape attempt. Your heart is pounding. Stop. No. It doesn't work that way, a voice whispers. The voice is harsh and rough, like a voice that doesn't speak very often. And that's a shame because what it says makes a lot of sense. You don't feel like you're actually moving forward. You don't feel like you're actually moving forward. It's like you're stranded, a fish out of water, flapping about on land and slowly suffocating. You jerk yourself out of these dark thoughts. You turn around, prepared to walk the same many hundreds of yards that you have just walked. But to your horror, you realize that Innsmouth is still right there in front of you. Have you been walking on the same spot for the last 10 minutes? If you ever make it back to Boston, this is definitely an episode that you should discuss with your therapist. The parking lot is surrounded by a fence made from some simple wooden beams. You almost gracefully jump over the fence and find yourself surrounded by many cars of different makes and different generations. In addition to the recent models, which you can see every day from your office window, there are some real classics on display. The kind that still have a real horn attached to their body. Aren't the owners worried that their antique cars might get stolen? In the middle of this overflowing parking lot, in the dead of the night, you consider your options. There are few. You could break into a car, preferably one of the newer models, one that screams out, "Take me, my battery still has some juice left." Step 1, break in. You need to hurry up. There's no time for any extravagant stunts. You would love to smash the car window with your elbow, just like in the movies. Your weapon of choice, a stone that fits snugly into your fist, and will soon make an intimate acquaintance with a car window. You aim, and the stone meets no resistance. The window is cranked down. Fine. If you're responsible, some psycho might come along and steal the car. Without much delay, you pry open the plastic dashboard. You half worry that the many scenes from the TV in which someone short-circuits a car are all just made-up nonsense, but today must be your lucky day. It actually works. The car engine is howling. You put the car into reverse and maneuver it out of the narrow parking space. The headlights illuminate the many parked cars, which have been assembled here over the decades. Shiver goes down your spine. The car dashes out the parking lot and chases down the dirt road. Something tells you there won't be any oncoming traffic tonight. As you steer the car from the dirt road onto the next country road, you're overcome by a sudden sense of relief. The engine roars and you speed off into the dark. I think this is the same ending we got before. A bad feeling, you return to Boston. So we've only got 2 endings so far. How do I quit? All right, that's going to do it for the Innsmouth case. I enjoy the choose your own adventure style of that. It was a lot of fun. There are a lot of really funny moments. I enjoy the writing quite a bit. There were a few places where there were like the wrong form of words or something. Not a big deal. I enjoyed the humor of it. I enjoyed the adventure of it. One thing that I kind of didn't like is that there were a few points in the game where there would be a branching path. Like in the hotel, when on the night when the mob comes for you, you go downstairs and there should be a branching path to go off towards the lobby or to go off somewhere else. But I didn't know where I could get the branching path for that one. So I wasn't sure how to unlock the different paths. I thought about at the church where you could have the branching path where you could pretend to be a child of Dagon or something and then get into the church. And I wasn't sure where I was supposed to pick up that clue that would let me take that path. If there were more direction as to how to pick up the different clues, how to get through the different paths, if there was something like this is locked until you find this or something like that, that might be better for like multiple playthroughs, just so that you don't have to go down every single path looking for the one that gives you the right thing. Yeah, I enjoyed it overall. I'll probably go through again, like maybe on a recording, maybe just on my own time and try to get other endings. But I enjoyed it for what it was. So yeah, Let me know what you guys think. Did you guys enjoy it? Do you like the style of game? Do you think it's too much reading? Because I'm getting kind of burnt out on the reading. But yeah, let me know what you guys think about the game. Thank you for joining me for another night of Strange and Scary Games. I love you. I'll see you in the next video. Good night.